relationship with Hashem. You can't copy other people. You learn from other people. Don't copy other people, because then you're going to stand up in the wrong places. And it's not the way we're supposed to live. This guy told me, when we came back to Yiddishkeit, our children were a little older. So it was a hard adjustment. His son was 16, and he did not fit into the yeshiva system. So what happened? He went to a person in the community. He said, what should I do? My son is rebelling. This is 35 years ago. So the man tells him, give your son an ultimatum and tell him, if he shapes up, good. If not, you're throwing him out of the house. He has 2 weeks to shape up. If he comes back, good. If not, it's not his house anymore. The father tells me, I look at this man and I say, he's my son. What if he doesn't? He says, he's going to be so scared. He's going to go sleep in the subway station. He's going to sleep in the park. He'll come back. He says, but what if he doesn't? He says, change the locks on the house. He'll come back a week later. He tells me I was a Baal Tshuva and I wanted to do the right thing. So I followed his advice. And I told my son, either you conform to the system, we live a frum lifestyle, and if not, it's not your house anymore. He said, it didn't feel good for me or my wife, but we're Balei Tshuva. What do we know? We're not FFBs. You know what an FFB is, yeah? Verblonget from birth. From birth. We're Balei Tshuva. What do we know? We follow other people. They're the big experts. He looks at me. He starts sobbing. And he says, my boy left. 35 years I haven't seen him. And 35 years I haven't had a telephone call from him. And a few years ago I found out that he married a non-Jew and he has non-Jewish children. I've lost my son forever. And he looked at me and he's crying. He says, why did you not give this speech 35 years ago? What was I supposed to tell him? I gave him a hug. I said, I'm sorry. I told him, go visit your son. Go visit him. He didn't think of it. I told him these words. I didn't have to tell it to him. He told it to me. But from then I realized it. All the pain that your son or daughter might cause you, chas v'shalom, it's painful. It's very, very hard. It's hard to watch your son and daughter not follow the path of Yirat Shamayim, of Torah. It's very hard. But let me tell you something. It doesn't come close to the pain of cutting off your child. The pain of having a child disappoint us is painful. And we have to learn how to deal with it. We need support. We need emotional support. That's why it's so important to have families and communities that talk about it, have a support system. But it doesn't come close to the pain of a father and mother not speaking to their child for 35 years and making their child feel that this is not their home. We never, ever detach from a child. Ever. You know why? First of all, the pain is too unbearable. Besides the fact, what is the greatest source of healing for trauma? The greatest source of healing for trauma is connection. Attachment, love. All trauma is basically the feeling that I'm alone in the world, I'm isolated, I'm disconnected, I'm worthless, I'm garbage. That's why I'm in a danger zone. That's why I can't connect with myself or with people. If I could feel that this is a place of safety, that's where healing begins. But let me tell you, it's not easy. You know why it's not easy? It's not easy for two reasons. First of all, we're embarrassed from our neighbors and our friends and our relatives. They're going to come into the house. This shik's is in your house. Go tell her to put on a skirt. What is this? Chava and Adam before the tree of knowledge? And what's going to happen to the other kids? All your kids are going to leave. We get very embarrassed. Neighbors, friends, relatives, grandparents, in-laws, brothers-in-law. I have a brother-in-law coming from Israel. Rosh Koilel. He finished Daf Yomi 9.5 times. A woman calls me. Yeah? Her aunt's making a wedding. Don't bring your daughter to the wedding if she's not dressed appropriately. Come yourself. So she wants to know if she should come herself or not. I said, what will your daughter feel? My daughter won't feel good about it. So I said, to tell your aunt, either it's with your daughter or you're not coming. She said, my aunt is going to be insulted. I said, your aunt is a wonderful woman. What's going to happen if she's insulted? The next day, she'll talk about you for a few hours, what a horrible mother you are, and that's it. But if your daughter feels isolated, she could cut her wrist. You stay with your daughter, not with your aunt. Your aunt is 72 years old. She's fine. She's the tzaddikus of the community. She's the biggest balas chesed since Paro's daughter. You know that. Your aunt, Tante Fega is her name. Tante Fega. I love Tante Fega, by the way. But her life is not in danger. Your daughter's life is in danger. Say, Tante Fega, bye-bye, I love you, Tante Fega. This wedding is not for us. We are shiksas. We're not for your family. Just say Tehillim for us. And Tante Fega will say the whole Tehillim for you, to get you out of Gehenna, to get you out of Gehenna. And that's fine. I once said this, a father comes over to me and says, Rabbi Jacobson, how could you say such stupid things? Avraham Avinu was as smart as you. He threw Yishmael out of his house. Avraham Avinu threw Yishmael out of his house. What are you hacking or trying to? You have to throw your kids out of the house. That's how they learn. I said, listen, my dear brother, I love you very much, but let's just make it clear. Avraham Avinu threw Yishmael out of the house together with whom? Together with his mother Hagar. You want to throw your kid out of the house? Good, but with your wife. With your wife, no problem. Send him away with his mother. And you know what? Your wife will be so happy. She will be the happiest woman. Everybody will be happy. Your son will be happy. Your wife will be happy. He looks at me and says, I'll also be happy. No, I'm just joking. Zebedicha. You understand what I'm saying? Send him with his mother. I don't have a problem. Let them go to New Zealand. It's fine. They can come to Mexico City with his mother. I said, that's number one. Number two, if Hashem commands you to send your son away, I agree. Avraham Avinu didn't want it. Avraham Avinu said no. Hashem said, if Hashem tells you yeah, then you do it. Number two. Number three, I said, who did they send away Ishmael for? Yitzchak, to protect Yitzchak. Yitzchak had the same story, Esav. What should have Yitzchak done, based on what Hashem told Avraham Avinu? What should have Yitzchak done? Should have thrown Esav out of the house. From all people, he's the one who didn't throw his kid out. Doesn't make sense. He saw what Hashem told his father. Not only that, Esav married two women. Vatiyena morat ruach li Yitzchak and Rivka. They used to smoke up, not just drugs. And Yitzchak became blind. He couldn't see. What do? You tell Esav, you get rid of these women or out, or go with them somewhere else. He didn't do that. Interesting, no? Why? Even when Rivka had to send Yaakov away, she should have sent Esav away. Let Esav go away. The answer is, Yitzchak and Rivka knew Esav needs a father. You don't send Esav away. Esav needs, Yaakov will be fine. Yaakov you can send to Eretz Yisrael. He's fine. He'll go to Meir Sharim, he'll go to Bnei Brak, he can go to Tribin, he can go to Slabot, he can go to Chevron. He can go, he'll find a good yeshiva. He'll go to Shema Neva for 14 years, he won't complain. He'll learn through Baba Kama, Baba Mitzvah, Baba Basta, Bavli, Yerushalmi, he'll do well. He'll come back with 12 kids, everything will be fine. He'll give you Nachas, Mitos, Shlema, he's good. Esav needs a father. Esav needs a father. And not only did Yitzchak raise Esav, Esav had a son. His name was Eliphaz. Right? The Stipler once told us, Rabbi Yankala Galinsky, B'nai Brak, the Stipler gone. Eliphaz, it says, Chazal say Eliphaz was chasing Yaakov to kill him. He didn't kill him. Because Yaakov told him, Ani chashuv kemet, if you're poor, it's like you're dead. So he took Yaakov's money and he didn't kill him. Rashi says, why didn't he kill him? Lefisha gadol b'cheikoi shel Yitzchak. Eliphaz grew up in the bosom of Yitzchak, so he didn't kill Yaakov. So the whole reason that the Jewish people are here today is because Yitzchak didn't throw out his grandson Eliphaz. You know who Eliphaz was? Eliphaz was a father of Amalek, for heaven's sake. Mamza, Ben Mamza, Bas Mamza. If you read Rashi, Parshas Vayishlach, everyone was a Mamza in the family. There were like 900 Mamzeim. Everybody married everybody. You didn't know who's the father, who's the mother. It's a crazy story there. You can learn the sugya in Sanhedrin, in Rashi, Vayishlach, the end of Vayishlach. Yitzchak said, this passt nicht. You know what Yitzchak was? Oilat Mima. He kept him. Now go to Sefer Iyov and go to Perek Dalet. Vayan Eliphaz Hateimani. Eliphaz was one of Iyov's friends, and he speaks some of the most beautiful words. So Rashi says, Lefisha Gadol B'Cheker Shel Yitzchak Sharta Alav Ruach HaKadosh. This kid became a prophet. Why? Because Yitzchak Friday night kept him on his choice. And he sang Kari Boin Olam Valmaya Kol Mekadesh, and he hugged him and he embraced him and he told him stories. He knew he's not going to be the God Lador. Nobody turns Eliphaz into the God Lador. Eliphaz is no Yaakov Avinu. Eliphaz is Eliphaz, Yenetzatzka, as they say. But Yitzchak kept him in the house, even though he saw what happened with Yishmael. If Hashem tells you, do it. If not, you keep them close. Not only that, you know what it says in Pirkei Rebbe Eliezer? Avram used to go visit Yishmael constantly. Hashem told him, throw him out, and he went to visit. Hashem said, come on, but you go visit. You know what happened? Shmuel did tshuva. This is not a chiddush of PI DARKO. This is what our sages understood. Connection, connection, connection. It's hard. Because I have neighbors, I have relatives, and you know what's even harder? What's harder is my ego. If I love this child, it means I don't love God. It means I'm not so frum. It means I'm a failure. It means I'm not a religious person. It means I'm a horrible Jew. Our religious ego doesn't allow us to love. But I want to tell you something. You know when you become a true servant of Hashem? You become a true servant of Hashem when you stop asking what your children can do for you, and you start asking what you can do for your children. You know when I become a divine human being? Not when I look in the mirror and say, hey, I'm so religious, I'm so holy. You know when you become a divine human being? When I transcend my ego, my insecurity, my fear, my own trauma. And I look into the eyes of my child. That child who's causing you pain. That child who tells you that they're pro-Palestinian. You know these kids, right? When they have trauma, they right away become pro-Palestinian, pro-communism, pro-socialism, pro-Norman Finkelstein, the Tzedreite, pro-Noam Chomsky and other Tzedreite, sociopaths. Suddenly Hamas, Tzadikim, they're crazy. Crazy. That's what trauma is. Anything my father believes in, I believe the opposite. My father's pro-Israel, I'm against Israel. Sahal, the worst thing that ever existed. They start believing the worst. This kid is in my house. It's all trauma. This kid believes in Palestinian cause like I believe in kangaroos on the planet Mars. Much less. But it's trauma. Till he heals, this is how he does it. And it's very hard for us to deal with it. Could you look into that boy's or girl's eyes and see their neshama, which is a chelek Eloka mimal mamash, like it says in Tanya. Every soul is a piece of Hashem. See the soul and love it. There's an angel there. I'll tell you even more. The most traumatized children are the most sensitive children. The reason they were so hurt by the system is because they were so spiritual. I've done this many times, and I'll do it here too. Ask any mother or father about the child in the family who left Yiddishkeit, and ask, which child is it? Is it the child that was the most dumb, the most egotistical, the most narcissistic, the most selfish, the most not interested, the most self-centered, the most unrefined? And every mother will start crying and saying the opposite. When she was a little girl, when he was a little boy, they were the most kind and sensitive and gracious and smart and deep and spiritual. The only one who helped me Friday night clean up all the dishes. Because even my maid quit at 12 o'clock. The only one, when I was not feeling good, came over to me and said, Mommy, I love you, the best mother in the world. The one who at 8 years old was so sensitive. So I want to ask you, what do you think happens at 16 years old? 16 years old, you think your daughter became a Nazi? Really? The mother calls me, she says, my daughter a marshas, she's a machshefa. You know what I was thinking? With such a mother, I would also be a machshefer. We are so stuck in our ego, we can't see their pain. So we say they're horrible. No, they're in a lot of pain. And when I could look into their eyes and see that, and really love, and stay attached and stay connected, it's a game changer. In Parashat Mishpatim it says, Makei aviv v'imo mot yumat. If you beat, if you hit, if you wound your father and mother, it's a death penalty. Gonev ishu mecharav v'nimtza b'yado mot yumat. If you kidnap somebody and you sell them, death penalty. Mekalel aviv v'imo mot yumat. If you curse your father and mother, it's a death penalty. You see the issue? Why does the Torah interrupt the halacha, the law of beating your parents, cursing your parents, and in the middle, there's a verse about kidnapping a child, or kidnapping a person and selling him. It doesn't belong there. You know what the Ibn Ezra writes? Ibn Ezra lived in the 1100s in Spain. Rabbeinu Abraham Ibn Ezra, he quotes Reb Saadia Gaon. He says, you know what? Many children were stolen from their parents. Till today in China, there's 200,000 children a year stolen. Do you know that? It's crazy. 200,000 children a year. Not normal. Horrific. It's horrible. There was a father who just found his son in China after 24 years. They did DNA testing. 24 years he was looking for his son. They kidnap children to give them to families that don't have children. They want to raise a child. Says that in Ezra, sometimes you see a child cursing his parents, killing it, beating his parents. Say, kill him! The pasuk says, wait. Find out if this child wasn't kidnapped and he feels that these are fake parents. They paid for him to be kidnapped. That's why it's there in the middle. So Reb Shimon Schwab writes, this is not only true physically, it's also true psychologically. I get letters all the time from parents. My son doesn't respect me. My son calls me this. My daughter doesn't respect me. So the Ibn Ezra says, maybe this child was stolen. Maybe their soul was stolen. V'gonev ish u'mecharov v'nimtza b'yado. What does this mean? If somebody abused this child sexually, emotionally, physically, spiritually, this child's soul was kidnapped. It was stolen. It was stolen from them. This kid doesn't have a soul. They can't have a relationship with their parents. Sometimes it's not even so, doesn't even look so bad. What if I never allow this child to find themselves? I force them to be in the system that I want them to be. To go to the yeshiva that's going to make me proud. To make sure that I look good, that my wife looks good. I'm not thinking about them. The kid was created to give me nachas. I need nachas. Who made that up? Ani nivreti l'shamesh et koni. I was created to serve Hashem. Not that my kid, not that I should give my father nachas. Sometimes a child has very negative feelings to their parents. Ibn Ezra says, don't always blame the child. Find out if there was theft. If somebody's soul was stolen. This is what we always have to look at. I have to look at this boy and this girl and find out who stole their neshama from them. And how was it stolen? And how are they responding to it? And what am I going to do today to help them heal? And the first thing I can do is stop responding to my ego and my own disappointment and rather feel my pain, watch it, and then focus on what this child really needs from me as a father, as a mother, as a teacher, as an educator, as an aunt, as an uncle, as a grandparent, as a sibling. And you will find that these children will transform you more than anything else in the world. You know why? Because your service of Hashem is not anymore about the ego. It's not external, it's not chitzoniyut, it's pnimiyut, it's authentic. I would even argue, I can't say this for sure. We're living in the time of Geula. A lot of things are happening. A lot of things are happening. One of the things that's happening is people are struggling with their children. And I genuinely feel that a lot of these children who are struggling, their souls volunteered to have mesirus nefesh, to sacrifice themselves and go in directions that are very difficult in order to help bring a new spirit into Klal Yisrael. They force us to be healthier, more real, more authentic, more holy, less egotistical, more soulful, more loving. They challenge us to get out of our comfort zone, not to be stuck in our own little circle of people who are like us and agree with us. They challenge us to confront our own traumas, our own pain, our own wounds, our own scars, our own limitations, and set ourselves free. Because when we set ourselves free, we can set our children free. The real work is not even with my child. The real work is with me. The real work is if I can really open my heart to another human being, really open my heart to what this child's soul needs. Even if there are instincts inside of me, scream at him, throw her out of the house. She's such a spoiled brat, coming 1 o'clock in the morning into the kitchen and saying, Mommy, there's no food. Really? There's no food in Mexico City? There's no food in our freezer. There's food to feed you for 9 months. Mommy, there's no food. And at that moment you have to ask yourself, how am I going to respond? Will I say something that will make us more distant? Or will I say something that's going to make us more close? And that's where real avodat Hashem happens. That's where the real service of Hashem happens. I saw a clip. Maybe you saw it. Yehuda Becher was going to the music festival on Simchat Torah, October 7th, 2023. Did you see the clip? Yehuda Becher was traveling. He had a beautiful voice. And in the car, I heard this later from his father. In the car, he got a message from a friend that he's depressed. Can he cheer him up? So Yehuda recorded on the phone him singing a song. Which song? Elokai neshama shenatata bi toharahi. Ata barata, ata yitzayta, ata nafachta bi, va'ata atid litla mimenu la'achazira bi la'atid lavo. The neshama you have given me is pure, you're going to take it away and give it back to me with the tchiyat hametim. And he sings this. He's in the car. It's beautiful. You could feel this kid's soul. A few hours later, he was murdered at the music festival by the Hamas Rishon Yimach Shemam V'Zichron. I had a Zoom meeting with a lot of parents who lost their children in the festival of music, all from parents whose kids left Yiddishkeit and they went to the music festival. A lot of parents. We had a Zoom. So Yehuda Becher's father and brother was there, his mother, and they were telling me about their son. I said, I see from the song that he was larger than life. His heart was huge. And they shared with me, yeah. And I said, tell me if I'm right, that the system he was in, they could not deal with his heart. And they said, it's true, they could not deal with his heart. His heart was too big. He was so full of love. And I want you to understand this. You could see it in the clip. This kid is so filled with love. And the position he was in, that people did not know how to deal with him. He was a revolutionary spirit. What do they call it? Revolution. A revolutionary spirit. Some of these kids, I'm telling you, are the holiest souls. Beautiful, beautiful souls. And they can't be contained. And we need to become bigger and larger and more expansive. And realize that the Torah is Hashem's Torah. It's infinite. It's not small. It's not tiny. Every soul has a place in Yiddishkeit. Every soul has a letter in the Sefer Torah. Every soul is a chelik elekamimah. Hashem doesn't wear my type of hat or your type of hat. I hope he also wears those types of hats. But he's not limited by that. And this takes a lot of maturity. A lot of depth. And when I saw this boy and his purity, his innocence, it was like a gilui elokut. There was a certain revelation of godliness. I'm going to conclude with this moment. A mother told this to me. She has a daughter who left Yiddishkeit, left. And first, they were very, very tough with her. And there were doctors and therapists and big psychiatrists who said you have to force her to the hospital and give her medication. Thank God the parents called Rabbi Shimon Russell. Shimon Russell said, yeah, you'll force her to the hospital, you'll force medication, and 6 months later she'll be cutting her wrist. It's pure trauma. You need to connect with her. You need to make her feel safe. And the mother and father changed their whole attitude. And they saved this girl. But she's still very secular. And the mother tells me, they went with their children on a trip. So they're going on this trip, and she completely checked out from Yiddishkeit years ago. And her brother opens up his tefillin bag. And in his tefillin bag, he has a Nintendo game. You know those Nintendo games? Those little computer games. He keeps it in his tefillin bag. And instinctively she screams out and she says, what? What? Muttel? You don't put this in a tefillin bag? That was it. This girl, I'm not going to tell you how she dresses exactly. I'm not going to tell you how she behaves. But when she saw that, she was like outraged. And then she realized what she said. She said, oh, I don't care. Oh, I don't care. You understand what was happening? Such light, such beauty, such a glow. It's like, why do you put a game in tefillin? What's the tefillin? Tefillin is godliness. Shibud alev ha'moach. Why are you putting a game in tefillin? Then she, oh, I don't care. Her instinct came out because she's getting healthier and healthier. When their love comes out, they will fill the entire world with love. So my dearest friends, at this moment when we're privileged of being part of the founding and development of PI DARKO, it's really a privilege to be able to see the grassroots transformation for the sake of each and every single one of our children. And realizing that this is a painful journey. Rabbi Jacobson is not saying it's a smooth, easy ride. It's painful. And you always have to know about the other children. Sometimes people give all attention to one child, they neglect the other children. People tell me, I have to throw out this child because we have other kids. And he doesn't go to school. What are the other kids going to do? God forbid if there's a family that has a child with cancer. They don't throw out the kid with cancer because he's not going to yeshiva, he's not going to Shabbat table, he's not getting dressed, he's in pajamas all day. They don't do that. They tell the other children, we have a crisis, we have a struggle. It's hard, it's painful. And they make sure to give all the children attention, not just the kid who has cancer. No, they throw them out. A kid who has trauma, it's a spiritual cancer. It's emotional cancer. We don't just, we have to take care of all the children. And I want to give a special shout out to parents. I know some parents here. I know what you go through in order to hold on to those children. You deserve, mothers and fathers deserve a special, special gratitude for the Mesiras Nefesh, for the endless love and patience that you have, because you see the big picture and you want to save these children. But I just want to tell you, this hard work is not in vain. You will see the results. It sometimes takes a long time, but when we plant the seeds of real connection and love, everything comes back in the right time, in the right way. And the biggest thing that happens is you become a much better person. You become a much better Jew. Your relationship with Hashem is much different. It's not anymore about, I feel good about myself. It's about being a true Eved Hashem. And at this moment when we're celebrating the development of this institution or this idea, I don't want to call it organization. Rabbi Gertzulin didn't like the word organization. So we'll call it the revolution of this idea, of this dream, of this reality, of this relationship called Chanoich Lenar PI DARKO. It behooves us all and a privilege for every one of us to get involved, because there are many children suffering, there are many families suffering. Some of them you know about, and I would say most of them you don't know about yet. And we all need support. Everybody needs support. We need guidance, we need support, we need direction, we need to be here for each other. And trust me, don't feel too ashamed to talk about it, because everybody is dealing with this. I can't say everybody, but a huge, huge amount of people are dealing with this. If it's not their child, it's their nephew, or their niece, or their brother, or their sister, or their cousin, or an uncle, or everyone is dealing with it in one way or another. So really, we're all in this together. And together we'll be able to make a powerful difference. So tonight, Be'ezer Hashem Yitbarech, may this organization, may this dream have tremendous hatzlacha. May all of us be able to do and contribute whatever we can, beguf, benefesh, ubemamon, with our body, with our soul, and with our checkbooks, to be able to give and give, to be able to create an infrastructure that will save, rescue, and help embrace hundreds of children, dozens of children, hundreds of children, till the point that we should be able to look at each of our children and say those words of the Navi that we say every single morning, V'chol banayich limudei Hashem. All your children, doesn't say some, all your children are students of Hashem. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Rabbi YY Jacobson. En este momento me gustaría solamente compartir, no voy a dar una idea, no hay mucho que decir, pero me viene a la mente una frase de Hazal que dice: Kol hamatzil nefesh achat mi Israel, כאילו קיים עולם מלא. Una persona que salva una sola alma es como que si salva un mundo completo. Y sería bueno y correcto en este momento poder ver cuánto es lo que nosotros podemos estar aportando a esta idea, a esta organización, a este gran proyecto. Y al ladito de ustedes en las mesas tienen unas hojitas